Well, hello, Lou. It's great that you could join me for this interview today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yes. So, here at Target, we really enjoy, the customers and helping them and making sure that they have a good experience. So, why do you want this job?
Well, certainly Target has always been a place that I've held in high esteem. I've worked at other retail places, and when I ever walk into Target, I always feel like, hey, this would be a cool place to work. Everybody who's in there seems to be in a good mood. They seem to be very helpful,
Yeah.
and that's the kind of team I think I'd like to be a part of.
That's great. So, do you work well on teams?
Oh, as a matter of fact, yes, absolutely. Everywhere I've worked, it's always been with a team or with a group or a partner and so on.
That's great.
Because you know what, working with other people kind of gives you a sense of like what's important to them, and then you learn how to deal with others, whether it's they're good or bad, and they're having a bad day or you're having a bad day. You kind of learn on certain things that you want to just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to avoid that, or I'm going to work on that, or sometimes just a compliment or something nice and encouraging. Say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Hopefully gets a bad day turning into a good day.
Of course.
And I would like to do that certainly with our customers over at Target, because when somebody comes in looking like a bad day, it's on us. Just a smile and sometimes just a nod or hey, how are you doing? Get the customer in a better mood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very important part. So have you ever had a difficult situation in your previous jobs, and how did you handle it?
As a matter of fact, I have. At the last place I was working at Macy's, somebody came in. I think they were trying to return something that they didn't have a receipt for,
Okay.
and it's actually something that I wasn't sure where it was purchased and so on. They wanted their money back. There weren't really any tags, and I said I certainly can return this item. Because again, we're not really sure. We're not saying it's not Macy's, but I can't give you cash back. And the customer became irate and was yelling and so on. And I was trying to keep everything calm, but being firm at the same time, because you can't always give in, especially following company protocol and policy. So what I did is kind of just said, you know what, I totally understand where you're coming from. I will call one of our managers who certainly can work with you, but I am not authorized to give you cash back.
That's a great response. It's good to hear that you handled that very well. Okay, so what do you think are some of your greatest strengths?
I'm flexible. I think I'm easy to get along with. My philosophy is you've got to do what's got to be done. So if I walk by and I see, even if it's not my department, if something's on the floor, I pick it up and hang it up. If I'm walking through the hallways and I see somebody throwing a cup, I can go by and say, well, hey, that's not my job. It's a job of the maintenance, but I believe that my philosophy is you've got to do what's got to be done. So I would have no problem with picking up the cup and throwing it out, or picking up the item, because it just reflects better in our store if everything is the way it's supposed to be.
Very true. I like that you are a very active worker, I guess.
I like to say that I'm engaged and I take pride.
Yeah.
Because I represent the company, so I want to make sure that I make all the right decisions. That even when nobody's looking, picking up that cup is going to take me 2 seconds, but a customer seeing a dirty store is going to give an impression versus a clean store.
Of course. Have you ever violated any rules at your previous employers?
Certainly not on purpose.
Okay.
The only rule I can think of, I can go back to having the conflict with that person. Had I given that person back their money, their cash, that would have been a violation of company rules. I didn't do that. That's as close, but in terms of the other ones I always look at is that, you got to be punctual.
Yeah.
And if they expect you to be there, if you're scheduled to work, unless there's some really dire circumstances, you need to show up for work, and showing up on time, doing what you're supposed to do, and putting in effort. So that's about as close to a conflict. I mean, it's really not a conflict per se, or company rules.
Yeah.
But that's about the only one I can think of. I really thought for a second. I said, no, of stretching it just to make the customer happy, but that won't work.
That's great to hear. Okay, are there any questions you might have for me?
The only question I have for you is, when will I find out, if I'm going to get the job or not? When are you going to make your final decision?
In the next few days or so, we'll definitely give you a call.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yep. All right, thank you.
So, hi Jasmine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, we appreciate you applying for the job.
Okay.
We're always looking for good people. So, one of the first questions we typically ask all of our candidates is, well, why do you want the job?
Well, I like working with people and helping them in their daily situations. So even if that's just something small, like helping them pick out their items in the store, then I like to do my part and assist.
Okay. Well, I mean, certainly, at a store that we're all about customer service here.
Yes.
As you know, what as all retail and so on is all about customer service. Obviously, without the customers, we wouldn't have any business. So, having said all that, so what would you consider to be your greatest strength?
I think I'm pretty good at talking to people and getting to know what they need out of whatever they're looking for, and I think I have enough knowledge to help them.
Okay, well, that certainly sounds wanting to help people and all that. It's all fantastic.
Yes.
But as you know, in retail, sometimes people are having a bad day before they get out here.
Yes.
Sometimes they're looking for a particular item and a particular size we may not have. There's a variety of reasons why conflict happens and so on. So tell me about a challenge or a conflict that you've had, and how have you dealt with it? How have you made that kind of worked it out where both sides leave, they're happy with what happened?
Okay. Well, there was one situation at my previous job where a customer was not pleased with how I was processing the return. So I had to try and stay calm and keep her calm as well before it escalated, before anyone got too upset. And I did my best to make sure that her items were returned and that her money was sent back properly. And I think that it went well for the most part.
You want to give me, so when you're saying that the customer was upset, can you give me a little more detail? Because obviously when customer is upset, there's different levels of anger. Was the person yelling at you? Were they kind of crossing their arms and give you a dirty look? Were they just making comments like, look, you need to hurry it up, I've got things to do?
Yes.
Which of those things were happening to you?
It started with a dirty look and I've got a lot of things to do, I'm in a hurry, can you speed it up a little bit? She had her son with her, so that was a challenge in itself. And then it got to yelling and telling me that I was doing it wrong and just a lot of mean comments.
Unfortunately, with retail and so on, that's all part of the deal. I'd like to tell you that it's never happened before, but anybody who's worked in retail for any period of time will tell you that, you know what, you smile, you take care of them, you don't engage,
Yeah.
and you go for there. All right, well, since hopefully that was your one and only situation you've had with somebody like that.
Yes.
So you know what the type of work environment we have, it's maybe hours and so on and so forth. You tell me, what kind of work environment do you prefer?
I think I like working on teams and working to accomplish one goal together. I can work, by myself as well if there's a specific task that I'm asked to do alone. But I also enjoy working with others.
So if you had your choice, would you rather work in a cubicle and have a set amount of work to do, or would you rather be part of a team where everybody's throwing out ideas, no matter what the ideas are like, or you prefer the give and take with other people, even if you have a great idea and somebody shoots it down, over one where you're working in more isolation?
I think I like the give and take more because you can learn a lot. So if my idea does get shot down, I can understand why and maybe how to improve it better.
Okay, well, that's when you're working in a group setting and so on, somebody's ego always gets stepped down. So that's one of the things you always have to kind of be careful about. How do you deal with pressure and stressful situations? And then when you're done with all that, what are you passionate about? What is it that makes you tick? And when everything else goes bad, say, you know what, I still love this.
Okay, well, with stressful situations, I just try my best to stay calm and focus on the problem at hand and not get too worked up. And then my passion, I think, as you can tell from my previous answers, is just I really like helping people and making sure that whatever they're doing is handled well, and that I can be a part of the greater solution in the end.
Okay,